Welcome to the monthly book club call. So I was thinking this morning as I was walking, I actually did 4 miles today. I'm so proud of myself. It used to kill me to just do a mile, and I'm up to 4 miles. This is what you do when you have extra time. But I was thinking that I started this book club back in 2009 when we all had a lot of time on our hands. And we had it for a year, and then I passed the gavel for year 2, and then that person passed the gavel for year 3, and then we disbanded it. So in about 12, we stopped doing it. And then about 3 years ago, I had a lot of people say, you should start the book club again. You should start the book club again. So 3 years ago, we started it again. I think the first book, one of my loyal book club people can remind me, but in the chat, but I think the first book was Never Split the Difference, which was a huge hit. And I would tell you that when I'm at ICSCs, for sure, I have usually 3 to 5 people that come up to me and say, you know, because of you, I read Never Split the Difference. And it was recommended to me by Daniel Duque in Orlando. And I remember him recommending the book, and I'm thinking, okay, it's a book on negotiations, and I'm thinking, I've been negotiating for 30 years. I'm like, am I really going to get something out of this book? Very arrogant. And literally, I was on an airplane. I remember I was on the 4th page, and I had already gotten like 4 things. And I remember taking a picture saying, okay, I'm 4 pages in, and I've learned a million things. And it is by far, since we've been doing this, I think we started in, I guess, 18. It's the one book that everyone absolutely loves. So if you have not read Never Split the Difference, I highly recommend it. And then go back and listen all of the book clubs, all of the book club recordings since, I think we still have them from 09, maybe not, but definitely all of them from 18, 19, and 20 are all on either my website, on Anchor, which is a podcast app, or YouTube. So like we did Crush It with Gary Vaynerchuk, and I got Gary to pop in the call. We did a 10X rule, and we got Grant Cardone to pop in the call. We did Fanatical Prospecting and got Jeb Blunt to pop on the call. We did my 2 books. So definitely if you have time on your hands and you're looking for just like cliff notes of some books, and what we do, and you'll see today, is what we do is we take the book and we apply it to us in commercial real estate. How does this apply, or how is this applicable to us in commercial real estate? So, hey, Greg. So Greg Parsons from Brookfield is my #1 fan on the book club, right? Have you ever missed one?
It's been a couple, but well, last one I missed because we were on vacation. So yes, I won't say 100%.
Okay. And did you read this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People? I mean, let me ask you this. Did you read it for this call, or did you read it 20 years ago?
I read it like partially 20 years ago, and then mostly just revising for the call. It's one of those books where it should be taught, whether it be in school, or it should be one of the first things you are reading as you get into the business world. It's kind of like your Bible.
100%. I mean, I read it. My dad was a huge reader and a huge listener to audio tapes, like the little cassette player and stuff in the car. And he had this one and Think and Grow Rich. Like those were his 2 Bibles, and he was in sales as well. And I remember reading it like young, 16, 17, 18. And then I remember reading it again when I first got into commercial real estate, but I hadn't picked it up. It's in probably 30 years now. And this year I promised a bunch of you guys at the end, we did a survey for the people that have been involved for a couple of years. And I did a survey of, what books do we want to do? And a lot of people wanted some of the more traditional old school books, and this was one of the ones. So so let's jump in. Greg, I'm going to have you co-host this, and Barry, are you on the call too, Barry Wolf? I think
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes. Did you ever read the book?
I did, and I did the Dale Carnegie class, but it's been 20 years ago. I did the Dale Carnegie class when I was thinking of getting into sales, and I knew nothing about sales, so I knew I needed. So I looked and did some research and came across this Dale Carnegie class. I'd never read his book, and there they gave us the book. I read the book, and so yes, but it's been a long time, and my copy of the book is at my office, so I don't have it with me. It's all highlighted and marked up a ton, but I don't have it.
Well, when was the last time you looked at the book?
It's funny. Well, and I can't remember it's 2 books in one. The one I have, and it's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's another one of his books. And I can't remember what the second book is. And I took it out to start, kind of skimming through it again, the beginning of this year, with the intention of like reading a couple of pages a day. And I can't say I stuck to that, but I need to go back and do that. It's like you said, it's a classic, and it's still, I don't know what year it was written, but decades ago, and every point of it is still like it could have been written yesterday.
Yeah, I was on my walk this morning trying to, the last 3 days I've been trying to finish the book. every moment when I'm not on doing a webinar or I'm not doing something, I'm trying to get in another 15 minutes. So today I was just, I got up early and I went up for my walk earlier than normal, and I'm just trying to finish the book. And, but I kept having to stop on my walk because I kept making notes of what I was listening to in my headphones and what I wanted to talk about, because it just got ridiculous, because I'm thinking, I just need to stop this because I'm never going to finish my walk. But I want to start with a quote that I think is so relative to our industry. And I have probably talked about this at least 20 times this week with leasing agents, at least 20, if not more. And here's the quote in the book. He says, personally, I'm very fond of strawberries and cream, which, by the way, I love strawberries and cream. But I have found that for some strange reason, fish prefer worms. So when I went fishing, I didn't think about what I wanted. I thought about what they wanted. I didn't bait the hook with strawberries and cream. Rather, I dangled a worm or grasshopper in front of the fish and said, wouldn't you like to have that? Why not use the same common sense when fishing for people? So, there's a lot going on now in our world, and I'm talking to a lot of leasing agents who are calling me or writing me, or, or the young people that are on our freshman call. And we're all trying to sell something. We're either trying to get a prospect interested in a space. We might be trying to get a new job. So we're, fishing for a new employer, new listings. I'm counseling a lot of people on new listings. And I keep having, keep saying, so I sent my letter, or I sent the resume, or I sent the flyer. So when can I follow up? And that is like a consistent message. So when can I follow up? And I always respond with, well, what additional thing of value do you have to add? And then there's silence. And people are saying, well, I said, so if all you're going to do is send an email saying, checking in, following up, or circling back, that's annoying, and people, well, I don't want to be annoying. Well, that's annoying when we have nothing new to add to value, and all we're going to do is ding them until they give us an answer. And when people do that to me, I finally just get frustrated and just say no, because I've been too busy. I haven't had time to look at your proposal. And just because you keep bothering me, I'm just going to say no, versus someone who adds value. So versus, like, I've got 2 clients who have gone out and in their markets looked for, like, I knew that they had done their market survey, market study, knew which shopping centers were maybe owned and managed by them, the family, the owner, who are now absentee owners and can't travel to the asset. and go to visit those properties, take pictures, send them to the owner and say, hey, just wanted to let you know down here, I'm down here in Charlotte and I know you're in Boston. And I just thought, I'm not sure if you have a vendor or a tenant that's giving you reports on your property, but here you go. This is what I saw when I drove through the market last week. And if you need anything, don't forget, I live in Charlotte. I have properties in Charlotte, whatever I can do to help you out. So that's all fine and good. That's phenomenal. So, then they call and go, so now what else do I do? What do I do next? And so my response is always thinking about what Dale Carnegie is saying. What is the value add? What do they need? It's not about what you need. I know what you need and they know what you need. You want the listing, but that's not going to get you the listing. You need to think about what else can I add to be of value to them and think about them. So Barry and Greg, I'm going to shut up. What do you guys think about that?
Greg, I'll let you go.
Greg
there.
Hold on.
I'm coming.
Okay,
there we go. Sorry.
All right.
Zoom and I are not very good friends, let me tell you.
Well, yeah.
So, this is one of those books where, you really kind of just, you really can't do anything that's in the book because it's so elementary. And there is absolutely anything in this book you can apply to not just your business, but to anybody's business in any industry. And where I think, for us, I think he really plays into the empathy part. And I think what he also plays into is, what I love is just his historical context of just how he applies different instances to everyday life. He talks about Charles Schwab and he talks about Andrew Carnegie and he talks about, those individual figures and kind of how they related, their businesses to win friends and influence people. That's why I love this book just because of it applies to just everything that we do.
When you are prospecting for your specialty leasing kiosks, I know you don't call it kiosks. I apologize. What do you call it?
Well, I do kiosks. No, you're right. You're right.
Like I'm just reading this book where they're saying, make sure you get the name right. Make sure you get the acronyms in the business right. Like, I don't want to call it. Now I'm sensitive. Like, make sure I'm calling Greg's name right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but what value add when you're out prospecting, can you, besides just being like canvassing or prospecting, what are some of the value adds, like taking into consideration his strawberries and cream versus grasshoppers and worms? What are your grasshoppers and worms?
My value add that I typically like to do is where a lot of reps in my market, they kind of see deal, do deal per se. I dive in a little bit deeper and to try to understand why the person is looking why the person is looking to expand, or perhaps why it would be a good idea for that person to expand, or perhaps look into either expand, or perhaps it might be a better opportunity for them to relocate somewhere else. And the value that I think we add is we really dive in detail to the business models, where very few in our market do that. And I want to make sure that those that I'm working with are having a real understanding of their overall business model, so that we can not only put them in a position for success, but whatever decision that they make in the future is going to be beneficial for their success. Because whether they do business with me or not, I want to make sure that if they're trying to grow their business, they're doing it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Them down a primrose path where they'll be unsuccessful, that's a problem. And
right.
It's a problem not just for me, but it's a problem for our overall industry and pretty much the reputation of what commercial real estate reps are.
Well, how many malls do you rep?
5.
how many malls do you think in your, not Brookfield, I know all the Brookfields are going to reopen. We're just going to say that right now. But of the markets that you're in, have you already figured out or considered or predict or am thinking that some of your mall competitors may not open, or do you think all of your mall competitors will reopen?
All the mall competitors in Houston will reopen. I think they may reopen in it. Yeah, I think we've had that shakeout from a mall perspective in the last few years of malls closing, and I think it's going to be I think we're going to be more worried about the social distancing part and who our retailers and who the quality retailers are going to be. Where we perhaps got complacent leasing spaces to certain retailers, I think it's going to come to bite us here very quickly. Those that are perhaps not, the cosmetic retailers, your massage retailers, ones that are faced constantly. I think those are going to have an issue, and I think that's going to change the complexion of what our malls look like.
Okay. Barry, do you have any thoughts about fishing? Like you want to go out and try to get listings to sell single net deals or multi-tenant shopping centers. What's the value you can give to someone you're trying to get a listing for? What's your grasshopper or worm? That's going to be
I think you got to give before you can get. I mean, to get those opportunities, I got to give first. It's kind of like Gary Vaynerchuk, give, jab, 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 right hook, and it's give, like you do. I mean, you're spending a ton of time giving with zero expectation of return right now. I think it's like that. I mean, while I'm listening to to this call, I'm sitting here searching comps I was just on a call with a client who, mentioned a deal he's considering developing in a market. I'm taking a couple hours to go research comps to send him that or give me a value to him and trying to analyze that deal. I do that a lot. I think it's just anytime I come across market intel or information that would be valuable to my avatar, I take the time to send it out to either selectively, if I come across something that may just be of interest to you, some on University Drive in Davie, I'm just going to send that to you. But if I come across something that's of value to kind of quote unquote my avatar, I've been doing I'll send it to 300 or 400 people, but with an individual email to 300 or 400 people, following up with a phone call, just to make sure they got it. So I think I do a lot of that, of just collecting information that may be of value to them, and that's kind of the grasshopper. It's just give, and it's not so much the bait on the hook. It's just you got to give, and otherwise there's plenty of people that do what I do. I'm not terribly unique, so you got to be the one that's giving them value for them to think of you when they do have an opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think everyone on the call listening, a lot of times what I hear is, well, why are you doing all of that for free? Or if I say to them, do the market study and send it. Well, I should send the market study before I get the listing? Yes.
Right.
Yes. You absolutely send it before. Well, then what if they send it to their existing listing agents? I go, well, maybe they will, but it's not like there are no secrets. Like, so you're not giving them some secret sauce. You're just compiling the information. And if they give it to their existing listing agents, and that's what they do, but what if they don't? And what if they hire you? So,
well, also I'll do a lot. I want to be their number two. I mean, I do this, what I'm doing right now, I do all the time for folks that have never listed a deal with me. I know they even have a loyal relationship with somebody else, but if they call me enough times to ask for a favor, at some point there's kind of a reciprocity, just, and it may not be that person, but if you do that for enough people, it comes back around to you. So I want to be their number two. I'll tell people all the time, I just, think of me as a resource. I know you use so-and-so, but if I can ever help you, even if you never list a deal with me, just think of me as a resource. I'm happy to be of help to you. So I just want to be, again, be the person they think of, even if they don't list it with me.
I love that. I just want to be your number two. Well, you definitely, for anyone that doesn't know Barry or learned about Barry from me, you're the top of mind guy for sure. So I'm going to address, one of you asked, when was the book published? And my friend Carol, which, thank you, Carol, writes, the book was first published in 1936. Gosh, so that's, 90 years ago, or 85 years ago, something like that. And she said, it was revised, this is so funny, it was revised in 1981, but 2 sections were omitted in that version. One was how to have a happy marriage. Why do you think Karen omitted that? Why do you think that? Hold on. Okay, now go ahead. Yeah.
There was a lot of information that was kind of repetitive just about his people skills and basics, like what you've talked a little bit about. But there was also a suggestion on reading a sexual self-help book, or like, you know, the intimacy part of marriage. And I don't know, maybe I thought it was a little too racy.
Yeah, not too racy for 1936. That's very funny. Okay.
Yeah, it was okay in 36, but not in 81.
Oh my gosh, hilarious. Well, so then, you know, then he goes through in the book, you know, he talks all 2 things that I loved a lot too. Knowing people's names, right? He does case study after case study after case study about this guy, that guy, or the other guy who was the king of remembering names. And I cannot tell you how many people will say to me, I'm bad at that. And I'm going, you're in sales, you need to get good at that. But people just give up. I'm bad at that. And, you know, I'm not going to fix it. And, you know, it's so important. It's, you know, people, they said, I guess, I don't know, in the 30s or 40s, the telephone company did a survey of the #1 most favorite used words. And it was I, right? I or their name. So what do you guys think about that? Anyone want to admit on the call that they're not good at remembering people's names? Don't admit it. Anyone have any tricks or tips on how to remember people's names? And you guys can just unmute yourself if you want to engage in the chat. Anybody have any tips? Justin, do you have any tips on how to remember people's names?
Yeah, I would say, hi, what's your name? And they would say, my name is Beth. And I'd say, that's great. That's my name too. And that way, the next time I see them, they go, hey, Beth.
Do you do that?
No, I'm just trying to stimulate the conversation.
I had a Wall Street Journal reporter called me 2 days ago to get quoted in an article, and they emailed me, and the name was AISHA. So she's, you know, the phone rings and I say, this is Beth Azor. And she said, hi, is this a good time to speak? And she didn't say, you know, hi, this is Aisha, or hi, this is Aisha. So I said, oh, hi. I said, and I immediately said, I'm sorry, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Aisha? And she said, no, it's Aisha. I said, okay, great. Nice to meet you, Aisha. And she said, do you know that you're the first person that's ever asked me that? So she said, thank you so much. She goes, everyone assumes it's Aisha. So I thought about that when I was reading the book today. I do that all the time at ICSEs, where people will say things really fast and then their name tag is turned around, and I reach over and turn their name tag. I go, and I always blame my age. Like, well, I'm 59 and my hearing is not as good, but I want to see if I can try to get the name so that while I'm talking to them at that moment, I have their name. But, you know, I don't remember. There was one guy in the book who was, I guess, the head of the Democratic Party, and Dale Carnegie or whoever said, oh, you know, I hear that you know 20,000 people and their names. And the guy says, no, I know 50,000 people. And he went and got, you know, one of the next presidents elected, that he traveled the country and he was known. I mean, I think Bill Clinton, you know, people say that he was a phenomenal rememberer of people's names. So any other, Greg, do you have a tip of remembering, or Barry, tips of?
I mean, Kara mentioned it, something a little bit similar in the chat, but I'll typically go, you know, or, you know, hi, Beth, it's great to meet you, Beth. And so if someone tells me, I will say the name twice and then try to do it a third time within the conversation so that it'll obviously repetition is key.
Then another section in the book, he talks a lot about smiling. This is definitely something that I have to work on. Definitely. We got some definite feedback here. Who is that? Definitely something I have to work on. You know, my kids all the time, or, you know, people go, you know, are you upset? And I realize that I'm like frowning because I'm thinking of something, like I'm looking at a lease and I'm just really like very thoughtful and I've got this frowny face. So that's definitely something that I have to work on a lot. That, but he goes on and on about story after story of when someone, you know, just put it like a husband, where every day he'd get up and go to the breakfast table and he would be Mr. Grump. And he went to a Dale Carnegie class, and one of the homework is for the next day, you know, pick one relationship where all you do is focus on smiling the whole time in the relationship. And the guy said it saved his marriage. So smiling is, you know, and I think, and he says, what do you do when you don't feel like smiling? And I remember I used to work when I was at Terra Nova, and I was the president, and I was, you know, a lot of times had to deal with a bunch of crap, and I would be storming down the hallway, and Stephen, my partner, pulled me in his office one day and he goes, I don't care how you're feeling, but when you're out in the public with your employees, you need to fake it until you make it. And it's so true that if you start smiling, there's something physiological that you will start feeling better. But it's hard. It's hard when you're in the middle of trying to solve a lot of problems to be thinking, what does my face look like right now? Anyone have any tips on that? Anyone have any challenges with that?
I think smiling, just even when you're not using, let's say, like a video call, I think just trying to smile when you're on the phone, that expression comes through. I mean, you can tell if someone's smiling or is in a decent mood on the other side of the line. And conveying that persona, I think, is absolutely critical. And, you know, people will do business with people they like. That's just a fact. And if you become more likable, whether it be on the phone, in person, social media, whatever, you're going to benefit from it. And, you know, there's a lot of ways to practice that. But keeping it top of mind, I think, is critical when you're working with outside sales.
What's helping me right now is I love music, love music. And I don't know why, but I'm on this Neil Diamond kick. Don't ask me why. And it's like 3 or 4 weeks ago, he just popped into my head, and, you know, that song, you know, hands, holding hands, reaching out. And I like posted that on social media. And then someone posted that Neil Diamond rewrote that song for COVID-19. It's hilarious. And then he's got the other one, Love on the Rocks. And I'm singing Love on the Rocks. And as every line, I'm thinking of these national retailers who don't want to pay us rent. Love on the Rocks, ain't no big surprise. I think I'm going to do a TikTok on that. But I love music, and it really helps make me smile. So even though my boys walk into the kitchen and, oh my God, Neil Diamond, and like he really only has about 5 songs, so we keep listening to the same 5 Neil Diamond songs, and my boys are into rap, so they're just rolling their eyes at me. But yeah, whatever we can do to smile, especially in times like this, you know, we got to do it. We got to do it. Okay, let me talk about another quote from the book. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. So true, right? I always say, I feel like I'm a private investigator, you know, because whenever I'm meeting, and especially a new tenant, and we're in the space, Kara's like always rolling her eyes because I'm asking them 100 questions, and I'm trying to be casual about it, but it doesn't always come across casual, you know, like, and how did you start, and where did you get the idea? I'm really excited. My show, have you guys heard, I started a show last week called Small Business Saturday Series. I want all of you all on your own marks to do this. So last week I interviewed one of my tenants, Canesware, and tomorrow I have 3 interviews. I have 2 of my tenants and then 1 prospect. And my goal will be to interview 3 small businesses on Instagram Live for 15 or 20 minutes every Saturday. and it will help promote their business. We'll talk about their grand opening plans. Kara can call and prospect tenants and say, hey, do you want to be on my boss's show to promote your business? So we're really excited, and I think you guys could do it in every one of your markets. So just for you to see what it's like, if you go to Caneswear, like Miami Hurricane, Caneswear, CANESWEAR, or Kara, if you could write that. I know it's on there. If you just Google Caneswear, you'll see a picture of me and the owner. So we're going to try to put up a YouTube channel calling it Small Business Saturday Series, where we'll start collecting them. But interviewing, and I'm interviewing them, and I'm asking them, you know, were you an entrepreneur growing up? Were your parents entrepreneurs? You know, my favorite question is, I always say, do you know what, asked him last week, do you know what canvassing is? Because, you know, all you guys say, a lot of leasing agents that don't like to canvass say to me, well, the tenants don't like when you go in. So I'm bound and determined in every interview, I'm going to teach the tenants what canvassing is if they don't know. And then I'm going to ask them if they're okay with us leasing agents coming into their business. And I have and usually smart mom and pop business people don't care, because when they opened their first location, their American dream was to open more. And when we walk in, and we say that we've got shopping center space and we're interested in talking to them about expansion, you know, we find 90% of the time they do want to talk to you. They just don't like talking to the cable guys or, you know, whatever the other, you know, the Comcast guys and the people that they're not interested in. So I'm going to get it on record that I have, you know, 100 mom and pop tenants that say that they would not mind if we canvass them. And then I'm going to put that in like a collage, a video collage, and then post that. Because then there's no more excuses, right, Greg? No more excuses.
None.
What do you think about that, Tom? Tom's nodding. He likes it. He's nodding and he's smiling. But he can't unmute himself. Let me see if I can unmute you.
Okay, I think I did that. No, I like that. Yes, that's the key is, you know, it helps build relationships, and they'll remember, you know, that you are the, you know, the person who came in and, you know, helped them when they were first starting out, you know, and when a business is first starting, I think they get excited, you know, for anybody to walk through the door, maybe even the Comcast guy, you know,
Right.
They'll get them a cup of coffee or a bottle of water or whatever, and thank them for coming into their hair salon or
Right.
their specialty store. So that is good.
Have you read this book, Tom?
I did probably about 12 years ago. I did. I found it very, very helpful way back when. And I saw it on the book club, and I said, no, I need a refresher on this. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to reread the book, but definitely following along with my memory and what I'm able to take away from it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, someone said, how does it feel to be a Seminole and have Caneswear as a tenant? Well, they're a phenomenal tenant because they are a destination. So we're about 30 miles from the campus, and he did in-store over $1 million in-store and over $1 million online. So he brings a lot of traffic to the center. And I tell them, I say that I am a Hurricane fan 364 days of the year because he pays rent. But one day a year, I'm not a fan, obviously. Okay, so another quote that I wrote down from the book is, people rarely succeed unless they have fun in what they are doing. So the question is, we're not having too much fun right now, but we can have fun, right? We can make it fun and we can be creative. Like I'm having so much fun. I had so much fun doing the interview last week, and it was helping him, right? It was promoting his business, but also now as a platform, I was able to launch these other 3 tomorrow, and one being a prospect that we are working with for one of our shopping centers. So anyone I know I've been talking about this for the last week since I jumped into hosting my own series. Anyone else going to try to do it that's on the call? Or how about anyone else doing something fun during this crazy time? Who is doing something that's fun in the business that is helping you have more fun than, what we're probably doing, most of the day, which is not fun stuff.
And what I'm doing most of the days is, whether it be phone calls, emails, social media, whatever, is just alert retailers about the local ones, about the potential, the financial programs that are available out there. I mean, I know the federal one was extinguished a couple days ago, but Texas has, and Houston has a couple local ones that we keep kind of flowing out to the market. So those are just fun conversations to have, and they're recognizing, appreciating the help, appreciating the direction, that we're thinking about them. And, they actually engage with conversations and ask, like, okay, well, what if I did this? What if I do that? Because a lot of them just don't know. And they're happy to learn that other people are thinking about them, that they're not on this island all by themselves. And that's been fun, just having these conversations.
We had a tenant.
It's not rocket science.
We had a tenant that she had a hard time filling out the paperwork. So Josie jumped in and helped her. And she was crying when she called and told me she couldn't fill out the paperwork. And then we helped her. And then she called me yesterday crying that she got denied. Oh my God, that was a terrible conversation. Really tough stuff. But I just learned last night I was on a happy hour call, and there's a company that is a company in our business that is involved with the cities. I think it's called Retail Strategies, and they help the cities attract retailers to the cities, right? And Lacey Beasley, who is a leader in that company, told us that they found out, because they literally have like 100 city contracts, that the federal government is giving each state $1.2 billion to distribute to the cities for small businesses. So I didn't know that, but 4 days ago, I reached out to the two mayors of the two towns that I have my properties, and I said, hey, I did a little fib. I said, hey, I hear that you guys are going to be creating task forces for the small businesses, and I want to raise my hand to offer to volunteer to help. And they both are like, really, a task force, ? We'll check into that and get back to you. And both have since reached back out that, yes, there are task forces being formed because of this money that's coming to them from the federal government. So if you are so inclined, you can get involved in a task force that you have a property in that market, because I'm sure they're going to want to reach out to commercial real estate people, especially shopping center owners, to have some input, because we have a different perspective than, certainly the politicians, right? And the city managers. So hopefully they will take us up on that and bring some of us professionals in to help them figure out what to do with that money.
Were these the mayors? Were these the mayors or like city managers?
For who I reached out to?
Yeah.
So I reached out to the mayor of one city, and I reached out to a council person of another city. And I just said, hey, I hear that you guys are forming a task force to help small businesses. Is that true? If that's true, I'd love to participate. So I created that. I didn't hear that. And then they wrote back, and both of them said, oh, that's interesting. We're gonna look into that and get back to you.
Yeah, I will be sending 3 emails today with that same information.
And then the city manager, so so for Davie, I did the council person, and then she said she didn't respond, and then I sent one to the city manager, and then he said, I haven't heard about that, let me get back to you. And then they both now, that was 3 or 4 days ago where I threw that out there, they've both now said, hey, we're working on something, stay tuned. And what happened between 4 days ago and today was, I think they got the notice that they're getting this, the states. So the state capitals are going to get this money, I guess the governor's office, and now they have to figure out how to lobby for that money. And that's going to be like a mess. But, so I don't know how it's all going to work, but yeah, if you guys are so inclined to volunteer, reach out to your cities, especially again, yeah, Greg, you have the mall in, Houston, or more, 4 or 5 malls in Houston. You should be on the Houston task force for that money.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, so Houston started a program. They launched a assistance program about a week ago, and it was open to Harris County only businesses. And it was kind of like a grant/loan program. It was because of the overwhelming response, they had to shut down the portal in under 24 hours.
Wow.
Now, Texas announced a similar program to the federal program through Goldman Sachs, which was about $50 million for the state of Texas. I don't know if that's through this government grants or not, but I'm going to go connect with the city of Sugar Land, the city of Humble, and if I can get in touch with our mayor in Houston, and to see what we can do, because yeah, I agree. That's a huge win if anybody can get on those task forces and kind of be that voice.
Right. And so going back to the quote, the 2 months to learn about them versus 2 years for them to learn about us, right? My favorite quote, everyone, I get interviewed sometimes and they go, what's your favorite quote? And growing up, my favorite quote was from my dad, who said, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. You need to listen more than you speak. And, Dale Carnegie talks a lot about the people who can be good listeners. He tells story after story about how he's at a dinner party and he's talking to this botanist for 4 hours. And at the end of the evening, the botanist goes to the hostess of the party and says, that Dale Carnegie, what a great conversationalist. and he said, I never said a word. But people just loved to be listened to. And then I take it, and so how I want to relate this to our businesses, and I teach about this all the time, and I literally have people looking at me with cross eyes and not trusting this whatsoever. But I believe now in our world of the internet and social media, it's the best time to do some upfront research on the people we're meeting with, right? Whether it's recon, any ICSC, we're showing space. We can social stalk someone, meaning, go to their website or go to their Facebook page if they have one, Instagram, and find out. So one of the stories, I had a young woman, Allison Douglas, she was with Waterstone. She's not with them anymore. She was in Charlotte. And she called me and she said, I really want to get a meeting with floor and decor at the Atlanta ICSC. And I saw on LinkedIn that you know Kevin. And I said, I do know Kevin. She goes, well, what can you tell me about him? And I said, well, go to his Facebook page, check it out, and then call me back. So she did. And so we discussed how, and Barry Wolf will love this, he is a Georgia Bulldog, and he has a bulldog. Like a dog, bulldog. And, he and his partner live in Atlanta and they garden and yada, yada, yada. So she learns all about him just from his Facebook page. And so she calls him for a meeting. Now, remember, this girl is at the time not in the business more than 3 years. So she reaches out to get him an ICSC or like an Atlanta ICSC appointment. And he says, I'm not going to the show, but my office is in Atlanta. If you want to come see me, I'll set some time for you. So she goes and sees him. So Kevin Workman, the real estate guy, sends me an email and he says, I met with one of your students today. And for any of you that have ever been in my workshop, I have this letter posted as part of the PowerPoint. She said she was so impressive. She let my brokers know she was meeting with me. She came to my office, even though I wasn't going to be at the show. We talked about bulldogs, real ones, and Georgia bulldogs. She gave me, she said, we talked about dogs, real dogs and Georgia bulldogs. She left me with she tried to give me a PetSmart gift certificate, which I couldn't accept, but I so appreciate the thought. I'll always remember her investment of time trying to get to know me before our meeting. It rarely happens. And when I talk in my workshops, or if I'm, coaching someone and I tell them, to do this, people look at me cross-eyed because like they go, how intrusive, how intrusive. And it's not intrusive. I mean, it's, I like the person who chatted. I'm not sure even know, I have to go back to see in the chat. The person who chatted that said, how do you feel about having a tenant that's a hurricane and you're a Seminole? Who said that? I'm not, maybe it's my best friend. I didn't look to see who said that. I'm going back. But whoever said that, if they're not my best friend and they know I'm a Seminole, that's pretty impressive. And now I'm gonna know who it is because now, here it is. So Michael Gilco. So Michael, are you on the phone? You're hiding. I'm gonna unmute you. You can stay hiding. So I'm trying to unmute you. We keep on. Okay, Michael, how do you know I'm a Seminole?
You mentioned it yesterday on the webinar.
We didn't hear that. Say it again.
I'm sorry, you mentioned it yesterday on a webinar.
Okay, so, and do we know each other?
No.
So now guess what? I'm now gonna know you. I just love that you said that and that you did that, right? So that's the point. Is you listen to people talking and then you address it later in a conversation, and doesn't that set you apart from so many other people? And I tell you that so many people look at me like that's what do you think about the privacy laws and on and on and on. So who's got a thought about this? Anyone, jump in, unmute yourself and jump in. Hey, there you are, Michael. Who's got a thought about that? Someone does.
I do. It's MJ.
Hey, MJ, how are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Tell Marty happy birthday last week.
I will. Thank you. Everybody likes to feel like they say everyone likes to know your name. So why wouldn't you be flattered that someone knows something about you? It's called warm calling versus cold calling.
Exactly. Exactly. And
and they tell you if they're a private person, they'll tell you and you'll respect it, and they'll respect that you respect it. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, do you guys, who knows on this call, MJ, you might know this. What are the first two questions when you show up in Vegas and at Recon, ICSE? What are the first two questions that 80% of everyone asks each other?
Where are you staying?
And
how many times have you been to the conference?
That's one of them, but where are you staying is one. What's the other one?
What do you do?
Nope.
Where are you from?
Nope.
How's the show for you?
Nope.
When did you get in?
Yes. So now, if we ever get back to Recon, you are going to make a mental note of this and you're going to go, oh my gosh, she was so right. Where are you staying and when did you get in? It's the first two questions by 80% of people that you don't know. Now, if you know people and you're friends with them on social, you don't ask that. You go up to the person and say, oh my gosh, how's Mario's golf game? Everyone that follows me on social media asks about Mario's golf game. Now, isn't that way better than when you get in and where are you staying? Exactly what MJ said, it takes that relationship up to a different degree. Would you agree? Everyone's nodding. Is everyone nodding? Okay, anyone else, has anyone else read, oh my gosh, it's 12:19 already. Oh my gosh, we have one more minute. Who else has read the book recently? Has anyone read the book recently and wants to talk about their number one thing they liked about the book? Or this is, so I was just the Cliff Notes, right? Let me see, I had one. Knowledge isn't power until it's applied. Obviously, we are all on multiple webinars. We're learning, we're listening to podcasts, we're reading books, we're gaining a lot of knowledge. So it is overwhelming. And I would say that, you know, what I try to do when I go to conferences or if I listen to something motivational, I try to just pick one thing. What's one thing I'm going to act on? Because if we take 3 pages of notes, we're not going to do all of that. So just take one thing and apply it. Jesse Itzler, for anyone that does not follow him on Instagram or know who he is, follow him. Josie and I saw him speak at the Grant Cardone conference in Miami last year, and Josie took one of his classes. A great guy. He's married to Sarah Blakely, who owns Spanx, and he has, what he does is he picks a word a month, or no, a word a month. No, a new habit a month. And he says, I do one new habit a month. So like last month, I wanted to drink more water. And the month before that, I never wanted to be late for a meeting. And he goes, if I pick one new habit a month, after 21 days, it'll be a habit and I'll have 12 new things that I, you know, have improved on, you know, over every year. So that is, you know, taking knowledge and then applying it, right? So I can't believe it's 12:21. So for those of you that have not participated in the book clubs before, I promise to get everyone out in 50 minutes. I'm now breaking my promise. Thank you guys for being here today. We do this every month. Next month was the War of Art. We have scrapped that and have exchanged it for Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. I understand it's a very heavy book, but it has been recommended more times than not in my life and on this book club. And I thought, what a better way. And people are already texting me that they're halfway through it. I guess there's a piece at the end where he starts to talk about psychiatry. Well, we don't need to talk about that, but people are loving this book. So I don't even have the book yet. I'm going to get the book now that this one's behind us. And I hope to see you. That's on May 14th. And then anyone that's on this call 5 years or less, join our freshman call today at 4. We're meeting every Friday at 4. And today we're doing hot seats. So we've got actually some people that we will, you know, help give advice to individually. And then, you know, we've got a bunch of webinars. Hey, Mario, grab me my calendar over there, please. I'll share with you the webinar. It's right there, that one, the big one. We've got webinars next week that I'm going to tell you what they are. One is, I think, my toughest. Oh, thank you. You're my model. On Monday, it's staff productivity. So if you're a leader in your business, I'm going to give tips on how property managers and marketing people and leasing agents can be more productive while we're working from home. Tuesday is my toughest deal ever. And yeah, I think those are the 2 big ones for next week. So I hope you're having a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Thanks for being here. Greg, thanks for participating. Everyone, love you guys. Mwah.
Thanks, Beth. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.